and welcome to another DualShockers discussion video. Today, I have a very special guest, someone who I've been DMing a lot lately, been watching a lot of his videos, watching a lot of his content, invading his live streams that he's been doing on his channel at PlayStation Source. Can you give the right URL just so I just make sure?
YouTube.com/PlayStation Source. Yeah.
Okay.
PlayStation Source.
And of course, yes, I have, of course, Kevin Diaz, who is to the right of me over here. How's it going, Kevin? How you doing?
You are. Oh, man. Well, you're technically over to my right.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Hopefully it all works out. I don't know. But, yes, my name is Kevin Diaz. I run YouTube.com/PlayStation Source. We cover, of course, the latest and greatest in PlayStation. We do a stream series where we go over a lot of iconic series over PlayStation lineage and stream all the games back to back on stream whenever I can, because not my full-time job, but we just squeeze in whenever we can. We also do the Road to series as well, which is podcast series that are dedicated to upcoming games. So right now we're doing Road to PS5, which is not a game, and Road to anything upcoming PlayStation, Road to PS5 and Road to Spider-Man Miles Morales as well. And and of course cover the latest greats on PlayStation, Twitter as well, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so. It's because of you we got the release date of Ghost of Tsushima Legends, right? Is that what you said in your video?
Hey, I'm not saying. I mean, somehow I don't know. I was thinking about it yesterday at work. I was like, I just want to know where Legends is. What's it gonna be? But here we go. Monday. Got the whole info drop.
Yeah.
Good to hear. So
I didn't know it was also going to be like single player stuff too. So actually, that was kind of exciting.
Yeah, I didn't know that either because I thought it was just going to be there's multiplayer, but it looks like there's going to be like co-op story missions too. So
yeah,
can't wait for that. Definitely can't wait for that.
Yeah, I can't wait. And today, of course, we're here because a little Bandicoot. This little guy finally has a little homie, exactly. Finally has a new release after so long. Obviously, beginning its lineage as a Naughty Dog game many years ago on the PlayStation 1 with Crash Bandicoot, obviously 2, and then of course 3, 4, and then some other. Well, not 4 actually, some other ones, and now we finally have an actual 4. So, Harris Visions, if I'm not mistaken, did the remaster of the collection about a year or 2 years ago, and I loved it. I was able to be able to revisit it in all 4K, FurK, or whatever the hell they called it, which I thought was pretty hilarious.
They did call it FurK.
Yeah, they called it FurK. Yeah. I remember that. But basically, we're finally here now with a legit sequel to those 3 games, other than the ones that came out that I guess are referenced to this game. So I don't know. I don't know much about it. I've been trying to keep quiet on it. But Kevin, I've brought you on so that way you can spoil me. So go ahead and spoil me on everything that is Crash Bandicoot.
I got it. So Crash 4, it's about time. Does drop. Toys for Bob is the devs behind it. And a little bit just about my background with Crash. I did not play the OGs back in the day. I did have a PS1, but I was very, very young at that point. So I don't remember a ton of it.
Sure.
I was born in '98, so I'm a little kiddo out, a little kiddo out in these streets.
Too busy playing Rugrats or whatever movie game at the time.
2,
yes. Yeah.
Battlefront 2, what I'm saying? So, but I did go through on the stream series on YouTube.com's PlayStation Source, and with the Insane Trilogy, did play all of the remasters just to make sure I'm properly acquainted with the series before I jump into Crash 4, because when Crash 4 first got announced and everything, we got to see gameplay of it. I was super intrigued by it. It looked very much similar to what I saw of the Crash remasters, but just broader, more aspects to it and different things that really make the gameplay definitely unique, at least from what I saw visually when we first got it announced. And it definitely transitions to that, and it definitely is mostly that with Crash 4 and then some, for sure. Like the remasters, like you said, in that 4K, very, very good looking, right? Yeah. In Crash 4, it is a whole nother level, man. Like, I don't know exactly. I am running the game in 4K on a PlayStation 4 Pro, so I'm assuming it's the same. But I think what really makes it look a lot better than the remasters is that 60 frames per second. Because the remasters ran at 30, and you know how there's the 30 frames per second that is the choppy 30 frames per second.
Sure.
And then there's the really smooth 30 frames. I would consider the Crash remasters on that smooth side. I think it was an overall smooth 30 frames, very close to like Ghost of Tsushima. This one, you definitely feel that 60. It feels butter smooth. I love the way it feels, and I think they also did a little bit of work as well with how the controls, along with that frames per second, feel super tight and feels super reactive, and I feel like I have more control over Crash in this game than the remasters did. Like there were definitely some times where like I felt that there were some aspects of the levels in Crash 1, 2, and 3 where the floatiness of Crash definitely made it more difficult in some instances when what you were doing wasn't really that hard. But definitely with Crash 4, you feel like you have a lot more control. Definitely feels 1-to-1, liking it a lot. Music, of course, is on point. You know what I'm saying? As per usual. Come on now. The Crash 1, 2, and 3 games had a fire soundtrack. This one as well, bringing it back. Have you seen the stuff about the two different modes? How there's the classic mode and modern mode?
I've heard of it when I listened to the Gamecast and Kind of Funny. So what exactly makes it different? So obviously traditional, I can understand traditional because I played them before. So
yeah,
what is the difference between them in terms of the new mode?
So for those that just are unaware, classic mode is just, hey, throughout the level, you have boxes that have Crash's face on it that are lives that you get throughout the level. And of course, if you know the Crash games, when you run out of lives, you start that same level all the way over again, and it negates any checkpoint that you got.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
In modern mode, there are no lives. So, and it's essentially unlimited lives / no lives, where every time you die, you would just respawn at the nearest checkpoint that you were able to attain. So definitely a more like modern take on it for sure, hence the name of it. And I do feel that because I definitely struggle with if I'm going to play Crash 4 modern or classic, and I ultimately decided on modern just for my first go, just to try it, because definitely going into the levels, I feel that the overall game design of the levels and the length of them definitely lends itself more to the modern mode than the classic mode.
Sure.
Because there are less levels per world. I feel like so also to top it off to make sure everyone knows as well, I'm about 3 hours into the game.
Okay.
But the earlier levels that I've went into, they definitely have only like 3 or 4 levels and then the boss per world. So there are less levels, but the levels are a lot longer. Like levels are taking me, I think maybe like 15 or 20 minutes, probably.
Okay.
Probably more on 15 inside.
Really? Okay.
And they're definitely longer levels. Maybe that was probably like exaggeration, but definitely they are for sure longer levels. Sure. And there's a lot of different elements to these levels on a level by level basis, right? So you know how like in Crash 3, where you'll have a regular level and then there was like the plane levels.
Yes.
Or the
running towards the camera, getting on the bear, like all those types of different levels. Yeah. So those are kind of melded in within the same level. So it's like you'll do a regular Crash platforming type deal, then you'll be on a bear, if you will, not actually on a bear, but you'll do one of those side things like that aren't really the core gameplay. And there's like multiple of those within the same level. So it feels definitely longer and definitely is longer. So I feel like they definitely designed the game around having that modern mode on, even though for those purists, there are the classic mode if you want to still have that lives and do that whole gameplay that was more classic. But I definitely feel like the game is more designed for the modern mode for sure. The colors are great, obviously, and I think overall, I'm looking at the game right now. It looks fantastic.
No, it looks looks so, like, with the 60 frames and the colors, I think it looks great. I think sometimes I did notice that I'm not sure if it was this. I'm not sure if it was a technique that they used to maybe keep that 60 frames at times, but I feel that there were some shots and sometimes where the colors felt a little bit unsaturated and like a little bit foggy, and in some cases it was super vibrant and really poppy. But like that might be just a way they had a artistic choice for which level they were designing, but that's something that I definitely know is there. But overall, I'd say the colors are definitely definitely on point as well. And I think the last thing I want to talk about as well about the overall like level to level game design is that it I actually like how they're longer and they have a different variety of things you're doing within the level, because I feel like to a certain extent, like it's almost like telling, like it really tells, like, you know, there is Crash going from point A to point B, and there's a lot more in between that than, you know, just what it was in the previous games. So it feels a little bit more like story-esque, but obviously, you know, that's not the overall narrative per se, but like it feels like there's a tale within each level from how Crash got point A to point B, and it's really, really cool as well. Just to note that as well, for sure.
No, for sure. Because I'm looking at the footage, and I saw the level design on one specific level where you're in a cave, and to see it like be like more diagonal. Like, I mean, for the most part, when I think of Crash, I just think forward and backward for the most part. Mm-hmm. I almost never think of like going. I mean, obviously there is the small parts that are sideways, but I feel like these were ingrained in the level a little bit better than I would see it in the traditional Crash game. Crash game, so trash game, a traditional trash game, a traditional Crash game. So it is nice to see them implement that, and sort of like the design of the level is, to me, has more of a presence than it did in the previous one, where it was just like a track. You're just on a track, pretty much going that direction. So.
Yeah, like definitely all levels have more depth and more variety, but it's definitely still that same Crash overall core gameplay, right, of platforming, you know. And like I know like some people were a little bit hesitant seeing Crash 4 having more of a you know, Crash 1, 2, and 3 type of gameplay design.
Sure.
But I honestly think it works out really great. I think that they definitely looked at the Crash 1, 2, and 3 from Naughty Dog and really kind of embraced that as like the core of like we're going to start here and we're going to just build outwards from there without making it different. Like too different where it's just unrecognizable. You know what I'm saying? I think it worked out great. And the big thing we got to bring up now that we're just talking about game design and the overall design are the masks. Because these might be my favorite part of the game.
Yeah, tell me about that. Tell me about that, because I saw the mask in the marketing, and I was interesting because obviously the main mask that I know of course, is the one that is iconic to the series. So what's going on with these other masks?
So there's, I think, 4 or 5 different masks throughout the game. I've only gotten hands on 2 as of this recording. It's first one is Lani Loli. That's the mask, I think is how I pronounce it. And so her mask is going to be this phase ability where when you hit R2, there are certain elements in the levels that will be like transparent and like have a highlight of like a light blue type of thing, while things next to it will be actually in the world, right? Yeah. So when they're near each other, and you see that light blue, you can phase that into existence, but then the thing next to it will phase out. So there are certain things where you'll have to jump and then phase it in, but then phase it out to do other things. Like it just adds a whole nother level of depth that I think is really fun, and it definitely really does just add a whole different diversification and just element to the gameplay that I am loving, right? Like it's there's a lot of really, really cool, neat tricks that they are doing with the phase ability as well, at least that I've seen early on, that I think a lot of people are gonna like. And I think it's definitely a lot of you know, like a breath of fresh air from just the standard platforming, and it definitely adds a lot more to it and adds liberties to the game design as well. The other mask I got was called Akano's mask, and Akano has dark matter, right? So dark matter, what you can do is it allows you to spin super fast for longer periods of time, and it makes you feel like, and it makes Crash super floaty, right? Okay. So I know I said that was a detriment early on here, but the way they use it here is like you'll have super long gaps in the level where you'll have to use that to do some jumps and everything, and you have to touch down after the second jump, if that makes sense. So once you're in the air, you know, you have one jump and then one more, and then you got to plan where you're gonna at least touch part of the ground to do another 2. They do really cool stuff with that.
Okay.
Also, while you're spinning with that dark matter, you can also break metal crates, and you can also knock back projectiles that enemies throw at you. So that is really cool stuff for level design and how they use that, and they use the mechanic of throwing things back. So yeah, that one I don't love necessarily, but I definitely like the phase 1 a lot more than the dark matter. But nonetheless, I'm excited to see what else they have in store for the mask, because they did a really good job with these 2, and I hope that as I keep playing, they have more masks that really meld into the game design and shake it up a bit.
Yeah,
super good.
Because the original mask is very much like a mushroom in Mario, right?
Yes,
it's very much you get it, and then you have an extra life now because you're protected. And then if you get, I believe it was 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken. And then
I think it's 3.
And it's basically the star. It's the star in Mario. So it's the fact that this has more variety. Like right now, so it looks like you can combine masks too, because I'm looking at footage of you wearing one. So can you tell me about, like, is it an ability for the level, or is it something that you could lose?
Okay, right. Okay, so at least what I've been seeing, the level will give you the mask that you need for this portion of the level, and then take it away from you. So
got you.
I can't put on dark matter when
you can't swap it. It's not like level, like all levels have these special things, and then they'll but it's very level specific. Okay,
right. Yeah. That was good to point out too.
No, good. One of the things that I have been seeing in the marketing, and I'm just curious if you've been able to get any hands on this, has been the fact that the character switches. You can actually play as some of the villains. Have you been able to get any of that?
I have not been able to get into that. I did play as one of who I think is not a villain. Oh my gosh, her name escapes me. Oh man, not Coco.
Okay.
But Crash's.
Yeah, the other girl. Yeah.
Oh man, I wish I knew the name. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Man. I don't know her either, because she's before my time, right? I'm Crash 1, 2, and 3, and I don't even remember her from those. So that's fine.
So I'm pretty sure, very light spoilers. The Bandicoot that we are talking about is the Bandicoot from Crash 1 that Crash saves from Cortex.
Oh,
you feel me?
Yeah, okay.
But this Bandicoot is the same Bandicoot, but from a different universe.
Fair enough.
And they reference it, because this whole game, of course, it's about time.
Yes.
So this is alternate one. And I've only played one level of hers, but her level is mad fun, because she has this what's it called, rope and the hook, and
grappling hook.
There we go. Grappling hook. She has a grappling hook.
Uncharted.
Yes, that Last of Us, whatever. Yeah, that grappling hook, where there will be elements like in the distance in a level, whether it be like a box or like an enemy, and when the prompt goes up to press R2, she can reach that box with that grappling hook.
Gotcha.
And that just, I feel like, adds depth in terms of in terms of distance within the level, not so much on the x-axis, but the y-axis and all that, where there's things in the background that you can get, and I liked hers a lot too, because of that for sure. And I haven't played as the other villains. I know you can play as Cortex, I think, in this game.
Yeah, I've seen some footage of the armadillo guy and some other things. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out and how different everyone is. One of them looks like a shooter, like almost like a twin stick shooter. So the fact that you're saying the grappling hook's a little bit different, it looks like everyone has their own little flavor, and I think that's going to add so much to the actual overall game. So I am excited. When you're done playing with Crash, you can then try these other modes out, which I'm excited. And I'm wondering if they're part of the story, if they're just extra stuff. But
that's what to say, actually.
Yeah.
So you play one mission to introduce her into the overall cast of characters, right? And after you beat that, the map opens up a level that was from a world, I think the previous world I had just played, or maybe 2 worlds back, I forgot, but it opens up a side thing where you can start there and see what she did to get up to the point where you meet her in the main story.
Gotcha.
So you get a different timeline that you get to play as through her, and maybe there's some stuff where maybe Crash and Coco's adventures through the main plot in different levels influenced her levels when she was going through that same path.
Sure.
I think so. I hope that Neo Cortex gets one as well, and everyone else, that makes it have like a really cool like winding path type thing that all interplay with each other. I think that could be really neat, and that's low key one of my favorite parts about this game too, is that they've like done the, hey, get these gems, to and replay this level in this facet to get this gem or that gem. But seeing them really mess with the formula of having a game have replay value and upping it with this, where they're tying in narrative to like how this character got here. I think that's a really smart way to do it, and it's really, really neat. I like haven't played hers yet, but I cannot wait to go back and play hers, because that sounds like a super cool concept, and definitely does, and incentivizes me at least to go out and do that for sure.
Okay.
Super cool.
Yeah. So right now, actually, on the footage, because I scrolled up a little further, and it looked like you got to the end of a level, and then there was a boss battle where you're fighting a fish. So is that how boss battles work in this game? Like, it's is it a mini boss, or what is this? So what's going on?
The boss battles are amazing in this game. They are so much better. If you think that the boss battles from Crash 1, 2, and 3 are anything like 4, it is not. They are a lot better. They've been given a lot more care to it. One that I honestly want to talk about a little bit more. The fish one was cool. Wait, because I'm not watching the gameplay that you're watching. I think the fish one is where I'm using the dark matter mask and I have to spin.
No, you're on a boat thing, and then you're like, the arms are coming down and swiping people.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah. Okay, so that was definitely, I don't think that was a boss battle, because that was definitely like a mini game thing, but
it's a mini game thing. Okay.
Yeah, like that was something at the end of that level.
Interesting.
That definitely I don't think was a boss battle. I think because the other true boss battles are definitely different than what that was.
Okay.
But that one I like too, because you had to utilize the enemies that were coming at you, so they're like mice with knives and stuff like that.
Yes.
And when the octopus fish type thing, slams down its tentacles to hit you, you have to kind of make the rat enemies fall behind you.
Gotcha.
Go behind you, so the fin slams down on the knives and the rats instead of you.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's how you do damage on that. And I felt that was a really cool way to like turn the enemy against themselves and do it that way for sure. But the boss battle that I want to highlight is the first one.
Okay.
If you can scroll up my timeline, is he something that looks like Guitar Hero?
Guitar Hero. Really?
Oh my god. I had so much fun with that boss battle.
Because I'm looking at the one with I forgot this guy's name, but big forehead, eyebrows, holds 2 potions. Gosh.
Oh yes, that one. Yes, okay, that one was the second boss battle I played, I believe.
Okay, so I'll keep scrolling for Guitar Hero. I'm sure I'll find it. Yeah,
but but to reference that one as well, that one you have to use the dark matter mask as well for that one, and the first one you have to use the phase. So seemingly, the new mask that you get throughout a world will reflect in the boss battle. Make sure you know how to use it. But the first one, they did like a low key, like Guitar Hero type of thing.
Yeah,
where
I'm looking at it now. That's cool.
I had so much fun with that. Oh my god, it was so fun. I am very biased, and I feel like definitely a lot of people were obsessed with Guitar Hero back in the day.
Yeah,
I was especially. So yeah, definitely. So like seeing this, I just thought it was such a cool throwback, such a cool little tie, and the act of like having to jump over the like projectiles or like notes coming at you in that way, I thought was super fun. When you finish that phase, you had to so the game spawns some platforms that go up to the main boss that's doing this. I forgot his name. I'm sorry.
N.Gin, I think.
Yeah, N.Gin. Yeah. So, and the platforming, you have to utilize the phase changes with the mask. So you have to be super quick with that and be on your toes. There's I think 3 or 4 phases over on that boss battle, but I just thought it was super well done, super fun, because the other boss battles in Crash are like brain dead easy,
Yes.
And I just thought they were like really boring, just sometimes if it wasn't boring, it was like unnecessarily frustrating, where it's like, oh, okay, like you need me to do this, which is not even that fun. But this is definitely fun. challenging, and super unique from boss battle to boss battle. From what I've played, I think they did a great job with the boss battles.
Yeah, because you have to be active from what I see here. Like it's you don't stop until you hit the thing. So no, that's actually such an improvement from what I remember. So yeah, that's actually really cool.
It's great. I'm telling you, it's great. It's great for sure. Loved it. A lot of good stuff with the boss battles.
All right. Any final thoughts on Crash Bandicoot as we start to close this out?
Yeah, I think their decision on having the overall like movement of Crash be open to you as soon as you start the game in terms of like sliding and that like crouch spin and double jump and all that, as opposed to like Crash 3 where you would get those abilities by defeating a world, you know, and you would get like double jump and stuff like that. That I guess in that way incentivizes you to go back and replay those levels with those abilities. But I think in Crash 4, having those all to you at the get-go allows the game design and the overall, you know, lay of a level to be more diverse and take advantage of those moves quicker from like the jump. So I think that their decision on that is great. And overall, like I know, as far as I'm aware, you know, because I'm not really in tune with the Crash community. If there is a devout Crash community, I'm assuming there is. But I know there was a lot of like a lot of skepticism in terms of, you know, them calling this game Crash 4, you know, and like making the, you know, assumption that, hey, this is going to be as good as the core, you know, like we are doing a number 4. We're not doing a Crash, it's about time. We're putting a number on this for a reason. And I think that they really proved themselves here. I think that they really did a good job. Granted, I'm only 3 hours in, right? But I think overall, from what I've seen, I think they did a great job with it. So definitely kudos to Toys for Bob. I think this game is great. Definitely, at least from right now, I'm saying it's definitely worth that 60. You know, I know a lot of people were saying, like, I don't know about paying a full price for a Crash game. I totally can see that. Like, especially after playing the remasters, which were not 60 at all, like individually. It was it was $40 for those three?
It was $40 when it first came out, yes.
Yeah, which that's definitely a steal. But I think, like, if you were to, you know, snip, like, Crash 2, for example, and make that 60, I think, you know, but as far as right now,
looking at you, Nintendo.
But definitely, I think like right now, at least with Crash 4, I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it seems like there's going to be a lot of replay value that is actually enticing and interesting, as opposed to just, you know, gems and time trials and stuff like that. So I think that overall, this package, at least from right now, is definitely worth 60, and I think they did a great job. It's a great game. Definitely play it. Super fun.
I am looking forward to it. It's just, you know, there's just so many games coming out. So this is definitely going to be. So when I get my PS5,
right,
and I need some games to play, that's going to have to be one of them. So I'm going to have to pick up, and I hope it gets some of those like little juicy like upgrades. So we'll see. But otherwise, I am very much excited to play this game. I have been in love with Crash Bandicoot since I was a child playing on the PS1. So the fact that looks like they're doing it right and they're making a true sequel as opposed to all those other iterations, which I heard there are some references to those. So I think that's really cool that they still acknowledge them in some way. You know, everyone's going to have their different timelines and their different Zeldas and their different, you know, whatever. So that's fine. This could be a new timeline. You know, this could be the Calvin version of Star Trek or whatever. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and switch us back over. Thank you so much, Kevin, for stopping by. This is great. Having to sit down and talk with me about video games for the last 20 minutes. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for having me on. Much appreciated. You know, definitely do appreciate this opportunity. For sure. No, for sure. Again, where can we find you on the internet? Obviously, youtube.com/PlayStation Source. Latest and greatest on PlayStation. We got weekly podcasts there. We have daily videos, streams, all that great stuff, as well as our Twitter @PSSourceVids. Yes, I did steal the kind of funny way of doing their
That's fine. I'm named after Kevin Smith. That's totally fine. That's okay.
Gotta do it.
No.
Gotta do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's on there as well, @PSSourceVids. As well as we're on our podcast. We're on all major podcast services. So Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Spotify. All you gotta do is search PlayStation Source podcast feed, and you'll be able to find our stuff on there as well. I'm also seen on JoyClicks as well. Just gotta do one more. You know, shout out JoyClicks. also on there as well. YouTube.com/JoyClicks, JoyClicks Gamescast, all that great stuff.
No, that's fantastic. And of course, you can find me here always at the youtube.com/DualShockers, at that Mario Rivera on Twitter. And sometimes I'll be twitching this month. I've been playing a lot more spooky games on my Twitch. So that at twitch.tv/that Mario Rivera as well.
I like that. You be twitching.
I be twitching, you know?
I like that.
Every now and then. So I try to keep it tight. And until next time, take care.